All right, Vic and Anthony's at the Golden Nugget. I just had a pretty epic $300 dinner there. Vic and Anthony's is the best restaurant on site at the Golden Nugget. It is a steakhouse, and not only is it a steakhouse, they claim it is a top 10 steakhouse in America. Not just in Vegas, but in America. A top 10 steakhouse in Vegas would be an unbelievable achievement. They're claiming top 10 in America. So I'm gonna go over my experience there. I had some pretty remarkable drinks and dishes. And at the end, I'm gonna let you know if I thought my $300 bill was worth it or not. And then also I'm gonna let you know where it kind of ranks in my Vegas steakhouses. I've been to over 20 of them. I try to eat it at the best one at every single casino. And I kind of have like a running list of my top 5 or 10. At the end of the video, I'm gonna let you know kind of where it fits in my top 5 or 10, if it fits in my top 5 or 10. So Vic and Anthony's, as I said, is in the Golden Nugget, and you walk in and immediately they have these steaks on display. And to be honest with you, it really wasn't that impressive of a display, but I feel any proper old school traditional steakhouse is going to have like their meats on display. I think that's just something that's in the fabric of an old school proper steakhouse, and they're right there when you walk in, so I can appreciate that. It just kind of puts you in the mood. It lets you know that you are in a legitimate steakhouse. This place is vintage Vegas, it's classic Vegas, it's kind of old school Vegas, very, very dark. There's kind of like some memorabilia pictures on the wall. I loved the lighting in there, like the chandeliers and the lighting for the ceilings was amazing, and also it was multi-tiered. You know, I don't want to say like stadium, but they had like elevated booths, and then they had like booths on the ground floor. I thought it was like very, very tastefully laid out. So as always, I eat at the bar, I sat down, and immediately I go for the cocktail list, and I'm always looking for like the craziest cocktail, the coolest cocktail, the most beautiful cocktail, and I see a $75 Golden Negroni. Now you know that's right up my alley, but there's a problem. I hate Negronis, and I'm using hate very intentionally. I hate them. But you know, make the uncomfortable comfortable, get outside your comfort zone, try something new. And plus this was apparently like a showstopper, so I had to order it. I really don't know a lot about Negronis, okay, because I don't drink them, because I hate them. But they brought out the liquors and they look to be kind of high end. Those of you that know Negronis, you could comment on it. But what made the drink ultra cool and what made it $75 is the gold leaf that they drop in there. Like, they were super exquisite about it. They pulled it out of the foil, they unwrapped it, they used like tweezers to plop it in. It looked luxurious and it felt luxurious. And the cool thing about that gold leaf is that as the drink kind of like settled, the leaf kind of like disintegrated into it, and it was totally edible. So as you're drinking your drink, the gold leaf just kind of separates, and it kind of just forms a layer on the top of your drink, and I thought that was really cool. I will say I'm not a fan of Negronis, but it was the best Negroni I've ever had, and I'm not basing that just based off the experience or the gold leaf. Yes, that was cool, but it was definitely like the best tasting Negroni I've ever had. So if you are all about your Negronis, definitely go there and order the drink. It is a once in a lifetime memory. All right, so let's get to the food. I started out with the appetizers, and I immediately went for the shrimp cocktail. That is a staple in any Vegas steakhouse. And what made this shrimp cocktail amazing was really two things. Number one, the shrimp came out and they were huge, right? Like a lot of these times you order a shrimp cocktail and there aren't that many of them and they're really skimpy and it's kind of a disappointment. These were jumbo. They were rude boys. They were fresh. They were delicious. They were amazing. But the best part about it is that it came with an atomic cocktail sauce. Like, I love cocktail sauce. Obviously, like, it goes with shrimp, like peanut butter and jelly, but sometimes it's a little bland. This had some heat to it, but it was perfectly done. Just a little bit of spice, a little bit of kick. It was something different. And honestly, I think with that cocktail sauce and the freshness and size of the shrimp, it was like one of the best shrimp cocktails I've ever had. This appetizer list was very creative and unique. There were a couple things that I usually don't see, if ever see. One were the pickled deviled eggs. The Wisconsin person in me wanted to order those pickled deviled eggs, but there was definitely much better things on the menu to choose from. I ended up going with something I don't think I've ever seen before, at least at a steakhouse, and that was the maple glazed quail. Now, I've seen quail at very high-end restaurants. They're usually in a lot of Michelin caliber restaurants, but I don't see quail at a steakhouse ever. I can't actually remember the last time I saw quail at a steakhouse. And the fact that the quail were maple glazed, it was pretty much like an automatic order. So I put that in, they came out, and they were like chicken wings on steroids. Now, I know that can kind of be a crude comparison, but if you've never had quail before, that's how I'm gonna try to explain it to you. They look like chicken wings. They look like fat chicken wings. You must come in here and order this dish, and I'll take it a step further. If you order these maple glazed quail, you may never go back to buffalo wings or chicken wings again. They were that good. After having those, I don't even want to think about a buffalo wing or a chicken wing ever again. I'm now tainted and jaded. The quail were unbelievably awesome. So at this point, I have some momentum. I got the $75 Negroni with the gold leaf on top. That's kind of working in a little bit. I got the awesome shrimp cocktail, which I was in love with. I was euphoric over the maple glazed quail. This dinner is going really well. And I wasn't quite ready to get to the main dish yet, so I ordered one more appetizer. And I ordered the A5 Japanese Wagyu Carpaccio. I've been doing a lot more carpaccios lately. I blame it on going to a lot more Italian restaurants. It's typically a dish that I've never liked in the past, but after spending a lot of time at these high-end Italian places, I love a proper carpaccio. I must say this was the most disappointing dish of the night. For a carpaccio, it was kind of small. In fact, it was really small. Typically, I'm used to like a larger plate. I understand it was A5 Wagyu, so the portions aren't going to be as big, but still, I thought even for A5 Wagyu carpaccio, it was a small plate. And also, it was bland. Now, I try to put myself in their shoes. Maybe they didn't want to over flavor it or over season it or whatever because it's Wagyu. Maybe they actually really wanted you to taste the Wagyu to let you know it was Wagyu. Therefore, like they didn't want to like overdo it with other seasonings or flavors. But I must say, like, it was really bland. Although it wasn't bad, it was definitely the worst appetizer of the three. And it's something I definitely would not recommend if you're going to go in there and order. So all is still well in the world, and it's time to get to my main portion, and I order a steak. Now, they had a ribeye cap, and I think the ribeye cap is one of the best cuts of steak you can get. And I ordered the Wagyu cap over at John George's at Aria. And when I compare elite steakhouses, I should probably order the exact same dish. But Vic Anthony's is making a bold statement. They are saying it's a top 10 steakhouse in America. I wanted them to work for it. I wanted to really see what they're all about. So I just ordered the regular ribeye. It was a 16 ounce, bone out. Of course, I ordered it medium rare. And then I had them top it with Texas candy. I don't know if I've ever seen the Texas candy before. Maybe it's more common than what I'm aware of. But I believe it to be jalapenos, onions, and bacon. I thought it was going to kind of be like a chutney on the side or some type of sauce. When they brought the steak out, it was layered and smothered in this Texas candy. I gotta say, I was taken back a little bit because it wasn't what I was expecting. But when it came out, the presentation was unbelievable, and it really got me excited about what was about to come. So again, this is just their regular steak. I mean, it is USDA Prime, but it's not anything extravagant like a Wagyu or a Kobe beef or anything like that, or a ribeye cap. But I wanted to see what they're all about. First of all, Texas candy. Put that on your bucket list. Put that on your Christmas list. If you ever see it at a high-end place, I implore you to get it. It was the perfect complement to the steak. The steak was fantastic. It was marvelous. It definitely didn't disappoint. And if you told me that this was a top 10 steakhouse in America or even in Vegas, and after tasting that steak, the steak would not make me feel any differently. The steak definitely aligned with kind of the hype and the claims of the restaurant. So it was a fantastic meal. I had another drink of some kind. I think it was like an Hawaiian drink, or maybe had like a Hawaiian type name. It was kind of like a Mai Tai with bourbon from Recollect. At least that's what they were going for. To me, it was a little too sour. It really wasn't my deal, but I ordered that too. I wasn't really paying attention to the price, and I actually expected the bill to be a lot more. When the subtotal with tax came, and I think it was like around $250, I actually expected it to be around $300, $320. I don't really add up the prices. I just kind of have a general sense of where I am. And then when the bill comes, it either kind of like coincides with where I thought the bill would be, or it doesn't. And on this one, like with the caliber of food and the amount of apps, and plus that $75 Golden Negroni, I thought it would have been closer to $300 on a subtotal. So I ended up throwing another 20% on top of that, which puts me out the door at $300. It's an expensive meal, especially for a solo dinner, but they made a big claim. They claimed it was a top 10 steakhouse in America, and I had to work my way around the menu to really find out if that claim was true. So here are my thoughts. Is it a top 10 steakhouse in America? I feel to be a top 10 steakhouse in America, you have to be a top 1 or 2 or maybe 3 steakhouse in Vegas, because you have some phenomenal steakhouses in Chicago, in New York. Miami has some decent experienced steakhouses. I think they're more on the aesthetics than they are on the meal. But anyway, I think you should be in the top 1, 2, or 3 in Vegas in order to be in the top 10 in America. And I think it's close. I think it's really close to being a top 5 steakhouse in Vegas. If I had to give you my top ones right now, I'd say Bazaar Meats is number 1. I think John George's over at Aria is number 2, and I'd put Wynn right now at number 3. My previous list before this experience, I'd probably round it out with Barry's and Bavette's, and then maybe Gordon Ramsay steak over at Paris. I'm gonna say this right now. I am going to choose Vic Anthony's over Bavette's. And that's almost sacrilegious to myself, because if you know me, that Chicago Bavette's location, I think, is probably the best steakhouse in Chicago. And then their iteration here in Vegas over at Park MGM is a phenomenal, like, spitting image of that. So I hold Bavette's in very, very high esteem. But I have to say, the menu is better at Vic Anthony's. I kind of like the vibe a bit more. It's a bit more approachable. It's a bit more authentic. It's a bit more Vegas. And I also like the cocktail list a lot better. So yeah, I'm putting Vic Anthony's above Bavette's. I think I'd probably even put it above Gordon Ramsay steak as well. So now we're talking like top 4 or 5. So was my $300 dinner worth it? I'm going to say it was absolutely worth it for a couple reasons. Number 1, I think the hype is real on Vic Anthony's. Number 2, I would absolutely go back. And then number 3, I actually expected the dinner to be more expensive than it was. Now, yes, it was expensive. It was $300. But I'm talking value, not price. Price and value are different. It's what you get for what you pay. And I actually expected the dinner to be more expensive than what it was.